Hi, welcome to episode 2. We have my brother here. How do you want to be called?
Younger brother, but I look older.
What?
I
forgot about the mic.
Forgot about the mic. Younger but older. Older looking.
It's true, actually. I met someone today that asked me if I'm your younger brother. I said, no, I'm an older brother. It's the beard.
Some might say I'm smarter, but say that we're not going to go there.
I mean, book smarter. No, street smarter. So, how do you want to be called? Yidla? Yehuda?
Yidla works Yidla.
Yidl. We do Yidl.
Banda. Some people call me Banda, some people Yehuda, Yidla. My first name's Yehuda.
Well, we're both Bandas, so...
Yeah. First name's Yehuda. Hello, everyone.
Hi. So he's gonna be a guest or eventually become part of the podcast. We'll see how it goes. So what we're gonna
Depends how much he pays.
Depends how much I pay. Depends how much YouTube makes. You can start monetizing from YouTube.
That's Hashem is barik.
So let's start. There are a few things I want to talk about today. Let's start with the Mislabeled podcast. Let's give a shout out to our guy in Mislabeled, Label and Shmuley.
Not the
and I don't know. Is there a third guy on it? Not sure who he is. So, they had on Flatbush girl. Some might call her an icon. Some might call her a attention seeker. Up to you to decide. But they brought her on, and it got very heated, and they spoke a lot about Gittin. So, what she's trying to accomplish, she wants to change the whole system. So she considers herself a frum woman, right? So she's part of the community. She wears a sheitel, Flatbush girl, you know. But she says clearly in her Instagram that she wants to change halacha. She wants to make it a lot easier for ladies to get their get. What do you have to say about it?
Start off, I have nothing against anybody.
Talk to me.
I have nothing against anyone. I have nothing against anyone's opinions. Just some people are wrong, some people are right. Obviously, she is unequivocally wrong. She couldn't be more wrong. Saying I didn't listen to the whole podcast, I couldn't. It was very hard.
Don't blame you.
Being that it was very a lot of stupidity and uneducated things being said by both sides. They simply don't know. They don't know what they were talking about. For instance, she starts on the podcast speaking about, in general, she has this very childish view of halacha, that it's misogynist and that it's against women or out to get women.
So if you watch the podcast, she has no problem calling Gedolim, like the Rambam, the Ramban, anyone that doesn't go with her view, misogynist. So it just gives you an idea what kind of person this is.
Right, so before we get into that, she brings the halacha of Kailisha. She says that Kailisha, there's something wrong with it.
I can sound like an Isha, too.
What? You can sound like an Isha? So she says that there's something wrong and that really it should be changed, that even men could also be turning on women, etc. This is not a halacha which is made up by some Sifta Rebbe in camp that didn't want the boys listening to Miley Cyrus or some Goyish singer. This is a halacha which says that just like a married woman shouldn't uncover her hair, just like a woman shouldn't walk around with uncovered knees, a woman should not be singing in front of men. It's considered erva. It's considered a problem. And that is a halachic reality. Now, there are many Yidden that don't follow halacha, and Hashem should help that everyone, Bez Hashem, will help Allah, will follow halacha, and become from a Yidden. Some people that aren't there yet, for whatever reason, they grew up, they're religious, or they're not. They grew up religious and they're not feeling it at the moment. That's their call. But you have to know what halacha says. You have to be realistic about it. You can't try to change halacha.
Especially if it goes from a frum person.
So that's the other joke. She keeps calling herself a frum person. I'm not saying she's not frum, but she does have to understand that as a frum person, there's problems with what she's saying. For instance, the Kailisha. And second of all, to call the Rambam and the Ramban something they said, misogynist or something negative like that, it's not just that you're not frum. And they're not obviously, I'm not saying you're not frum. If you're frum, you're frum. If you consider yourself frum, whatever, if you follow keep Shabbos and your husband puts on tefillin, I hope, and you guys keep kashrus in your house, it's all good. But you obviously know nothing about the Rambam and the Ramban if you think they were small-minded people like you that were looking down at women. And they looked at the world that way. You obviously don't know anything about Torah. You don't know anything about Allah. You don't know anything about these people. These people were giants. Imagine just in your head for a second, the smartest person that you know today. And you will go over them. Oh, this that you said over there. That's because you really don't understand how it works. That's because you're just a racist. You're just a misogynist. You're just a sexist. You look like an idiot. Now times that by 1 billion, 1,000. Talking about people that are not once a generation, once in a lifetime, once in a million years. Where Rambam, the Rashi, you have to understand what you're talking about. It's not just that you're something that's not problem, not religious. You obviously don't know. You just don't know what you're talking about. You don't know who you're talking about. These people that you're attacking and that you're downgrading. I don't know if you meant to do that. I don't know if she meant to do that.
She's pretty open about it.
But obviously she's wrong. And this comes to the third problem, that Aguna crisis that she's talking about on the podcast.
Is there actually an Aguna crisis?
So you have to understand that every single one of these cases is an exception to the rule. The rule is that people get married and live happily ever after. Baruch Hashem. That's the rule. There's exception to the rule. Sure, there's exception to the rules. But unfortunately, marriages don't work out, and people.
Actually, this week's Chumash speaks about this.
Correct.
Stuff.
This week's Chumash is actually Pratis. Hashem made it work out. The week of the podcast.
Maybe she knew.
This is actually the source of Torah that the man can give a divorce to his wife, and that's how marriage. In Christianity, there's no such thing as divorce. I can't divorce your wife, but in Torah, obviously, there's a source for it. Now, she.
Chosavla get krisus.
Chosavla sefer krisus.
Sefer krisus.
Now where am I holding? Yes, she says that you can. So again, so the problem, the exception to the rule is people that need to give it a get, and even in that, there's a minority of people that unfortunately there's problems in both sides, and they can't come to agreement in giving a get. And sometimes a very extreme case that the husband's really using his power not to give the get that Torah gave him, and he just keeps the woman forever that way. Is that wrong? Is there a problem? I don't think there's almost anyone that will tell you that that's not unfortunate. And I don't think anyone is happy that women are being forced to stay in marriages they're not interested in. But does that mean that that now we start restart Torah and press reset button on what Allah says? Obviously not. That's the stupidest thing to say. It's like saying that there are Yidden that they have to eat chazer. So, because the only thing we have is chazer in the hospitals. So give them chazer. Okay, so they have to eat chazer. We're not going to say that chazer is mutar and Torah. No such thing. You can't change reality. Pig is also, you're not allowed to eat pig. A woman is not allowed to get divorced unless her husband willingly gives a get. It's impossible to do another way.
No, there's a concept of Kaifanai Shem or Leiratzani.
So Kaifanai say, first of all, there's a bunch of things that Bezdin has a power to do, according to Torah. Right? That even though Torah says you have to do it this way, Torah gives the power to Chum, to Bezdin. If you decide to do it one way, you can do it one way. For example, Torah gives let's say a person steals, right? So we all know he has to give kefil.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a punishment.
Right.
That's not really he doesn't have to. If he stole it, give it back. So Torah wants to punish the thief. Torah gives him a punishment, a knas, and he has to pay double. And there
understandably.
And there's also a mashal case where a person gets he doesn't get skila or chenek, he doesn't get killed, but if he doesn't avera, he gets malchus.
Right.
What if a person did an avera, which is he's allowed to do it from the Torah?
Random question. I was just going off topic. I was wondering lately, what is the difference practically between Makas Mardus and Malchus?
Exactly, that's where I'm getting. Makas Mardus is something that Chachamim decided that this person did something wrong.
But physically, it's the same. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
It's the Chachamim decided that they can give Makas Mardus. That means Chachamim have the power
whip his ass.
To whip him. Chachamim have the power to do that. Why don't we see today that Chachamim can give Makas? Why can't you go to that?
We don't have a
We don't have that certain powers we don't have. Now, there's a man that some people aren't familiar with. I'm sure Flatbush isn't familiar with him because he doesn't agree with his opinions. But
take it out if you want.
The Ramah's name's actually Moshe Ishalis, and just like the Rambam, who was a great, great giant for himself, and he's actually he paskins la halacha, that you can force a man to give a get, you can whip him until he says yes.
So the main Pesach is from the Rambam?
It's from the Gemara, but the Rambam brings it down halacha.
Rambam is the source for it?
The Gemara is the source for it.
Right, but halacha wise, like the first halacha sefer is the Rambam.
The Rambam, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm pretty sure. Now, the Ramah, whose name is also Moshe, and he also was a great, great man, just like the Rambam. He writes that today's Bezdin, we do not have the koyach to force someone to give a get.
Because we don't have the
smeder. We're not a real Bezdin. Just like we can't give people punishments, just like we can't put people in real chedems like they used to, we also can't That today you have a chedim, put it on a piece of paper, you take his keys out of the schools. Once upon a time, a chedim, the guy was put in a box, the guy was spat on, the guy was not down for the Yamud. It was a serious issue. Today we don't do that. So it's like also today we don't force people to give gittin because we don't have that power. We don't have that power to force people to give get. It's a very simple thing to explain, really, and I'm going to hit that on the podcast.
What happens if I know in the other podcast that you watched the interview before Flatbush, they interviewed Wasserman.
Yeah,
which is interesting because she is the one that's going through it, and she explicitly says that she's not here to change halacha. Correct. She has tinus on the dayanim, and she has tinus in the system, but she's not there to change it.
She's a regular from Yid.
She's not an Orthodox Reform lady.
She's a regular Orthodox woman who's dealing with a problem, like everyone else.
So she mentioned that there used to be a group that used to do this things for money.
Right.
The government shut them down because they were making money, which I don't get. Either way, the government shut them down because they're beating up people. But they didn't ask that question. I was just curious. But in such a case, you just said that we're not allowed to do that nowadays. What Rama said is the get kosher get if they do it like that.
I don't know. I don't know what the case will be, but I've heard from plenty of Rabbanim that don't sanction these things, that say that you're not allowed to do that. That's not allowed. You can't do that anymore.
But so what's the difference between physically forcing and emotion or other way manipulating and putting pressure on them? It's the same idea.
It's other way manipulating. It could also be a problem, which is why it's a very strict line. You have to think if the husband could come 10 years later and say, come to Bezdin, which is one of the big issues, and say that this get was a forced get, I didn't want to give it, then it might be a problem.
Kids might be mamzerim.
If he says reasonable. If it's a regular case that the guy was obviously wanted to end the marriage and then he comes 10 years later and obviously he can't. But it might be, these things are issues, which is why it's still a problem till today. Now, if you have a problem with that the get has to be given willingly, then you have a problem with God. You don't have a problem with the Rabbanim, you have a problem with God. To sit here and think that Rabbanim are misogynists, like she says, that's why Bezdin never came up with an idea for this, is a stupid thing to say. The reason why the Rabbanim don't have come up with an idea for it is because it's extremely tricky. And it's a problem. And it always has been a problem, which is why they needed to force husbands once upon a time. We don't do that anymore. But it's a massive issue. It always has been an issue.
I'm not very against it.
I wouldn't either be against it if you ask me, but I'm not that Ramah.
There's a whole episode in Sopranos about it.
Yeah.
You know about it?
Oh yeah.
They put it as an intro for that episode.
When I saw it the first time, I thought it was fake. I thought someone put the words to their mouth. Like I didn't think it was real that actually happened in the show.
You watched it?
I saw the video. Yeah.
From Mislabeled.
I guess.
No, you gotta watch the episode. They mentioned that there was a Rav that did do a kfiyah. You heard that part?
I didn't hear, but it's possible. These things have happened. I'm just saying a
kfiyah forcing him to come to Beis Din.
That's okay. That's done all the time. That's any time someone doesn't want to come to Beis Din, Beis Din can force him to come. Let's say if someone has a business dispute with someone, he owes me $100, doesn't want to come, Beis Din can force him to come.
And if they don't come, put him in a cherem.
If they don't come, put him in a cherem. He can't give him a get. It's just like Beis Din can't walk into his house and take out the money. If the guy doesn't want to come to Beis Din can't walk into his house and take $1,000 from him because they decided to. It doesn't work that way.
Are there Batei Dinim that are especially for Gittin?
Sure, of course. Most of them don't want to deal with Gittin.
Right.
It has to be a Rav that really wants to deal with it. It's a complicated thing. And one last thing is obviously she's obviously very uneducated. She says that it's obviously misogynist because a man can just get a heter meir rabbanim if his husband doesn't want to take a get.
She says it's very easy. She makes it sound like you just do it. It's not that easy, is it?
First of all, it's not that easy. Second of all, you obviously don't understand the background.
You got the heter meir rabbanim rabbi.
Cutler. Yeah. Obviously, she obviously doesn't understand the background of this halacha. According to Torah, a man can give his wife a get whenever he wants. If she doesn't take it, it's not his fault. It's not his problem. She's divorced.
But there's a gzeira not to do that.
So there's a gzeira. The same man.
I just heard it today from
Rabbeinu Gershon. The same man who decided that a man shouldn't be married to two women because it's not good for the women. Obviously, they were the ones losing out. The husbands were just happy. We're just fine with that.
The women didn't like it.
Why would you want to be married? Why would you want to share your husband with someone else?
I'm sure there's women that like it.
In today's day, if you ask men if you want to bring that back, I'm sure most men would agree and most women would disagree.
Let's go for that.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm with you with that.
What I'm saying is that this man obviously wasn't misogynist. So what did he do?
And I wouldn't be surprised if at least 50% of the women say they were fine with it. I've spoken to a girl. I'll tell you after who it is. They said she and her friend spoke about it, and they liked the idea.
All right, so maybe we should talk to Baron Gershom and they should get it done.
Work it out with Flatbush girl.
Work it out with Flatbush girl.
But she wouldn't like that.
She wouldn't like that. It's not progressive.
That halacha I'm not going to change. That's a good halacha. That's not misogynistic.
So he also this made a takana that a husband shouldn't be able to walk up and off on his wife whenever he wants and give her a get. So he said a husband can only divorce his wife if she wants. But that's not the Torah rule. The Rabbanim, the big misogynist Rabbanim, who only care about their husbands, the same Rabbanim that mind me after the war when women didn't have any husbands, they couldn't find anyone to say if their husbands were alive or not.
Sat for years.
Sat for years and years and years looking for a Teirim. Those same misogynist Rabbanim also said that a husband shouldn't be able to divorce his wife unless she wants, and they made him go through the hassle of getting a heter from married Rabbanim, being that it's possible, being that it's a man-made law, it's a law made by Rabbanim. So therefore, you can find a heter for it. The law that a husband has to give his get willingly is not one made by Chacham. It's the one that's made by Torah. So therefore, there's no way around it. The man has to give it willingly. It's not possible. It's not a possibility. It's like I said, it's like saying like pig is not pig. It's not possible. Tejas pig is a problem. It's a problem.
Her basis of how you could, her loophole, right? She's looking for loopholes. So her loophole is that Moshe Feinstein gave a heter to certain, maybe 10 women after the Holocaust that they could get married. So they had to do something. I think they had to do something. I'm not sure, but there wasn't a traditional get. But the guys from Mislabel brought out that that's 10 out of most probably thousands of women that came to him, and in this case, they probably did research, he investigated, he put work into it, and he decided that it's okay because most probably the husband's dead or something like that. I guess there was enough proof. They didn't go into that, but I'm assuming that's the case. What she's claiming is that Moshe was able to do it for those few women, and he could do it for everyone.
All right, we'll talk about someone who doesn't understand how Allah
basically works. She wants no rules. You could do whatever you want and still be called from. Is that the point?
It's not. It's what happens when someone doesn't know halacha steps into the sphere of halacha. I understand. She sees women going through a hard time, and that's what she's all about, empowering and religious women.
She's not a complete amaretz, though. I gotta give it to her. She knows a lot of terms and stuff.
She knows a lot of terms, but she's a complete amaretz. Google also
knows a lot more than most guys that I know.
Google also knows a lot of terms. It doesn't make you tam chach. She doesn't know what she's talking about. She wouldn't be able to point me a Gemara if I asked her to. If I paid her $1 million, these people don't know what they're talking about. This is what happens. If I walked into a kitchen and I started saying I like food, I love food, but I'm gonna go and start making food. I know what I'm doing. It's also the same thing. I
know how to cook.
She's very pro woman, and it's a good thing. Some of these women are going through a hard time and they need help. But I'm sorry today, because you don't know halacha. Stay out of it. I'm saying you can go to Bezdin and ask them to help you. But if they tell you this is what halacha is, what halacha is. It is what it is. I'm not saying that stuff should be done. Just like Mrs. Wasserman is doing. She's going around and trying to get people on her case and trying to get a get, which is what you should do.
Right. But do shtadlos, but don't overreach.
Stay in your lane.
Yes. Something that really triggers me, at least, Label put her in a corner. He said, "What if the woman is completely psycho? She's using the kids as a bait. What's the word? She's using the kids
to abuse them. Child abuse, because
it's basically child abuse, and the husband. So in that case, should the husband give a get? Because the husband could use the same way she's using the kids. The husband could say, "I'm not giving you a get unless we make a normal compromise. I want to see my kids."
Of course.
So she says, "It's not my problem. It's not what I care about." Why? Religious abuse. Religious abuse is worse than child abuse. So
it's not religious abuse. It's man abuse.
She is a yid at the end of the day. Let's stop at a certain point. But basically, you could see that she is not coming from common sense. She's coming from emotional.
It's not religious abuse.
Emotional thinking, and she's not.
It's man abuse. She's okay with man abuse. She's not okay with women abuse. God forbid. God forbid a woman cry in the street on Instagram and say that God forbid my husband's not giving me a get, which is terrible. But it ain't terrible if a man is saying this woman's about to take away my kids from me. That's fine. That's no problem with that. Give me a break.
That's misogynistic at its best. You can be a misogynist against men.
No,
that's not a word.
It's by a different word.
Okay, so sexism.
Misandrist, I think. I don't know what it's called.
Sexism.
Sexism.
Okay, we all hope that she gets some seichel, and also what they asked, because he asked her, why would you go on My Unorthodox Life and speak about this stuff? My Unorthodox is obviously hacking on Yiddishkeit. She said, I don't care, as long as I get my message out there as a whistleblower. She's the whistleblower. I put her anywhere. So he said, if Hitler, Yimach Shemoy, would give a speech back in the day, or if it would be now, would you also go and use his platform? She said, yeah.
No comment.
Mad extreme.
No comment.
Yeah.
By the way, unacceptable.
For Shalema Flatbush girl.
Unacceptable. You have warm beer in your podcast. I'm just saying. Next time I come here, it better be cold.
Yeah, it was a little bit cold. It was in the fridge for a few minutes. Put it in the freezer.
Should have done that.
Not bad, this beer.
I told you.
Okay, let's move on to sports. So, me and you are both Yankee fans.
I wish it was more exciting than Flatbush goal, but I think it's a little equally as depressing.
Yeah. Actually, all the subjects today are kind of depressing. When it rains, it pours.
When it rains, it pours, baby.
So, the Yankees are having currently the worst year since... I think if we would have lost that 10th game 2 days ago, that would have been the most
biggest losing streak
since like 110 years.
I don't know. I'm not paying attention.
Kids, somehow we managed to not lose that game.
Somehow.
Judge came with 3 home runs.
Yeah, was it Severino pitched shutout?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that happened. I don't know how, but it happened.
Good for him. Shout out to Severino.
No, shout out to Severino. Get him off our team ASAP.
Why?
Sevi?
He's bad.
Sevi?
So that's what I want to talk about. What if you would be an owner of the Yankees? What would you change? What do you think is the root problem?
Fire Cashman. I think he's a great GM. I think he'll get a good job somewhere else, but he's had his time.
How's he a great GM if you want to fire him?
Because you just like a pair of pants. You have a little pair of pants for a long time. Eventually, you outgrow it, and you got to throw it.
How long has he been GM?
He's been in the organization since 1990 something. I don't know how long he's been the official GM.
How many World Series did we win with him?
As GM?
Yeah.
1.
Okay, so he's never been too good.
Saying he's so again, the Yankees never sucked either. And even this year, the worst year in history, they're 5 games under 500. They're not horrendous. They're not the Oakland A's. But they're not the Kansas City Royals, but they're not the
We're pretty close over there.
No.
You pull up the standings?
We're not close, come on.
Oh, okay.
We're nowhere near.
It's terrible look though.
Look what their record is.
61-66.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so there's worse teams.
It's way worse teams.
But we're all the way down here.
We're middle of the
Orioles are all the way in the top.
Yeah, the Orioles are the best team in baseball. That's for the Braves.
Rays, Rangers, Seattle. There's no hope for this season, is there?
For the playoffs?
Yeah.
No. I would fire Cashman.
So you would fire Cashman?
Fire Cashman.
September 22, there's a guy trying to arrange a...
It's not going to happen. He's not firing Cashman. Unless he sells the team, he's not firing Cashman. So his chances of firing Cashman are his chances of selling the team.
Why?
Because if he fires Cashman, he has to take over the team.
He has
to hire a new guy and look into GM and start a whole new system. Cashman has the whole thing going. He doesn't have to do anything.
So you're saying is that we need new ownership, essentially.
Essentially speaking, yeah. Why would he sell the money? The Yankees are the second to richest franchise in the history of the world. Why he's not selling it?
Well, the way if we keep going like this, people are just going to stop coming to the Yankees.
Never. The Yankees will
will
always make money.
People will go to the Mets.
Nah.
All the tourists and all this stuff, right? They all come to the Yankees because the Yankees are a good team. We made it to the playoffs.
Doesn't matter if they're good or not.
Every year since what? Every year. When was the last time we did not make it to the playoffs?
What, last time?
Yeah.
2016, I think.
20, and before that?
2015. They went through a couple of bad
so
years.
it happens.
Yeah,
but at least in the past 10 years, we made it to the playoffs. We were a good team the past 10 years. So people were interested in the Yankees. And also,
It's not past 10 years.
but if we
Past
don't win,
130
if we
years.
keep on losing every single year, we never make it
They're not
to
gonna
the
keep
World
losing every
Series
single
and
year.
not even to the playoffs.
They're not going to keep losing every single year, and they're going to make the playoffs next year or the year after. They're going to make it. They're going to be good enough. They are good enough this year. They had a bad year.
I appreciate your
No, they're good enough.
positivity.
A lot of things went wrong.
It doesn't look good.
A lot of things went wrong this
Win
year.
9 games in a row.
Lose 9 games in a row, you mean?
Sorry, to lose 9 games in
Doesn't
a
look
row,
great,
and then
but they're still they're still a good team. They're a good team. They're better than their record. They're not good enough to win a World Series.
it's a good team. We have a good history, but
No,
right now
it's a good team.
we suck.
They don't suck. They're a good team. DJ LeMayo underperformed. Stanton underperformed. Rizzo underperformed. Bader underperformed when he was playing. They don't have a left fielder. Now they called up a left fielder. They're going to be a good team. I don't think they're good enough to win a World Series, but they're going to be a good team. They're not gonna miss the playoffs every year. It's not going to happen.
Amen. But at least this year, it's just it's sad.
It is what it is. It's sports. At a certain point, you stop. You don't really care so much about what people throwing a ball around, do. It's sports. It's a game. Thank God.
Right, especially
Thank God,
you.
It's only a game.
Because once we start losing, you don't care about it.
Not that I don't care. It's that at a certain point I told myself, why would I let these guys who mean nothing to me ruin my day?
You're not a diehard fan.
Because I'm a smart guy.
You're saying there's no smart people that follow sports?
They shouldn't be. They're saying they just follow, but you can follow sports if you want, even that, whatever.
People have a passion for it. Some
But
people have a passion in hunting. Some people have a passion for sports.
They have a passion for something which has nothing to do with you, and they don't care about you either.
But what do you mean it has nothing to do with you? I go to games. I watch the games.
Well, go to a game. Big deal.
It has something to do with me.
Don't let it
I'm
ruin your
affected by
day.
it. Right.
Don't
You
let it
shouldn't
ruin your
let
day
it,
or
but
ruin your week.
But
It shouldn't be.
if you want to... Okay, so
How
that's
much money
why
does Aaron Judge make?
Aaron Judge
Yeah.
just signed, what, $400 million?
Something like that. How much money is he giving you?
Nothing.
Exactly. Why should I care about what happens to him if he doesn't care what happens to me? Now, I don't. Again, I follow sports. I think it's a good thing. It's a game because I like. It's a game, so it's fun to watch. It's because it's a
Let's
game.
be real. When you watch a game, you get very passionate about it. Don't make
It's a
yourself
game,
like you don't care.
because it's a competition and it's a game. But
Okay,
again,
so
am I
you
gonna
do
let
care. It
am I
bothers
gonna
you.
let it decide? If it is what it is, if they win, they win. They lose, especially now, it's like, okay, the season's over. It's like, okay, you watch the game. Why not?
Exactly. Exactly. You have to choose. You have to make sure it doesn't keep you up at night. So, okay. So Fire Cashman, guys, September 22. Somebody on Twitter is arranging people should show up to sections 204. And
Flatbush go to follow Allah. It's not gonna happen. It's just not gonna happen.
Maybe we should get Flatbush Girl in the case.
Maybe she'll get something. Maybe she should come to the game.
Yeah. She could put it on her Instagram. The people should
When's
come.
September 22nd? When is that? What's today?
September 22nd is that was in the month.
It's in the
I
month.
don't know why they're doing it so long.
It's a month. It's a month. Says to me, sure.
Time to do tshuva.
Oh yeah. How that's the joke.
All right. So good luck to the Yankees and Fire Cashman is the Mascano. Now let's discuss the latest situation with our dear president, Donald J. Trump. Shout out to Trump. Free my man, Trump. They just arrested him yesterday. He's on bail. He had to pay like $200,000.
Anyway. He needs help.
He needs a go. There's a GoFundMe. Everybody, please send as much money as you can. But in all seriousness, Trump said they're coming after you, not coming after me. Before he ran in 2016, there was he was good with everybody. He was friends with all these people. Oprah, Hillary, they all came to both of his weddings or all three of his weddings. And all of a sudden, when he ran and he went against them openly, he became his number one enemy. Trump derangement syndrome, we call it. What do you think we could do? You can take some of my beer too. What do you think we could do about the situation? What can a normal person do?
Nothing.
So we just sit quiet and let our country go to hell?
Say you could make noise and not let it happen. It's still going to go to hell if it's going to hell. How do you plan? What are the options?
I know that's exactly my problem.
So there's no options. So what exactly? So there's no options. No options. What are you going to do? Nothing you can do.
I don't know about that. I think collectively, if we all get together, if we all do our part, bring an awareness.
Start a civil war.
I think that's where it's going.
So you want to start a civil war?
I don't want to start a civil war, but
that's the
I think that's yeah.
So first of all, I don't think it's practical. Second of all, even if it were, I would rather not have a civil war. I'd rather Trump, let's say, go to jail and then have a civil war.
But do you think if they arrest Trump, they're going to stop there?
Who else are they going to arrest?
They go after DeSantis next. Go after Vivek.
DeSantis.
So basically, our country is becoming a third world country.
Whoa. You're deciding
a banana republic, and there's nothing we can do about it.
You're deciding that they're arresting DeSantis and they're arresting Trump. I don't think Trump's going to get arrested.
Yeah, I'm deciding. They just indicted him 4 times.
They indicted him. Indicted doesn't mean nothing. It's wait till
it means nothing. There's a mugshot of him. He's on bail right now. He's on trial in New York for March something. You go on Wikipedia. You put in the election schedule. Part of it is when this trial here is trial there.
I think he'll be just fine. O.J. Simpson was also on trial. He turned out just fine. I think Trump will be fine.
O.J. Simpson was actually in jail. He got for kidnapping.
Yeah, I'm saying after because he's a Schwartz idiot.
I wouldn't compare O.J. Simpson to Trump.
I'm not comparing. I'm just saying people go on trial and people will turn out fine. I think Trump will be fine. I don't think they have any real.
Well, Trump is not black, so
I don't think they have any real criminal charges against him. I don't think anything serious happened there. I think they're just annoying him and they're trying to take away from the fact that he's running for president. I don't think they have anything serious. I don't think it's a problem. My personal opinion. Could I be wrong? I could definitely be wrong. I've been wrong before. Could be wrong. I'll be wrong again. This is one of them.
But what do you mean it's not serious? If they indicted him 4 times.
They indicted him. It's not hard to indict someone. Indict someone means you get him in front of a
grand jury. But now the trial is going to come.
So the trial. So we'll see. I don't think.
Okay, so right now it's nothing. So you don't want to think about it.
I don't think there's a serious case against him.
Well, how would they indict him in the first place if they don't have a serious case? Obviously, they're weaponizing the DOJ.
So the DOJ decides to indict someone, but first of all, I don't even know how exactly the system works. But it's not very hard to indict someone. It's not like you don't have to have evidence. You don't have to have serious.
Of course, you have to have evidence. You can't just indict anybody. Even for a warrant, you need to have something.
You don't have to have serious proof. You don't have.
Of course, you do. What are you talking about?
Wait a second. So they have serious evidence, serious proof. You think they did something? So you think Trump did something wrong?
No, he didn't.
So I think they made up the evidence.
I was thinking it's corrupt, and if they could indict him, they could.
So they can indict him. So you're saying if they could indict him, they could also arrest him. They could also put him in jail for 700 years.
Yeah. All they need to do is get in Washington D.C. Right? Why are they indicting him from all 4 places? Because they're hedging, right? So they're hoping that the D.C. are more of a liberal place. The jury and the judge will be biased against him, and that's it. The same way OJ got out was because the jury was biased to get for him.
But if the system is so corrupt, then why do they have to go to 4 places?
Because they can.
What do you mean because they can?
They're just using all their options.
But so I'm saying really, if they went to just 1 place, they'd be fine. They'd also get him 1 place. You just said they go into 4 places because they don't know they're going to get him because they have a very weak case, which is true.
Right.
They have a very weak case.
But the fact that they could indict him and they could...
They can indict anyone.
They can indict anyone. That's not true.
You can indict anyone. You can indict me. You can indict me for taking the screw apart right now.
No, you can't.
Yes, you can.
Well, technically or constitutionally?
They can find. There's enough laws out there that they can find one of them that I officially broke. They'll find something.
Okay. Corruption, basically.
Corruption. If they're looking to...
It's basically called, you find the target, and then you put the hole around it.
Correct.
Corruption.
I don't think they're going to be able to arrest. I don't think they're going to be able to do that in court over a former sitting president. I don't think it's going to happen, in my opinion. We can only wait and see. Nothing me you can do about it. Besides talking about this on the podcast, nothing really we can do.
Right, so at least, we could bring awareness.
To who? To your 200 listeners?
That's a lot. How many listeners do you have?
Wait a second, you have 200 listeners? You have 200 views?
We had the first video, we had 150 so far.
That's nice. But I watched the thing twice, so...
You watched it twice?
Yeah.
Was that good?
Yeah, I just put that, so it's 148. 149.
What do you think about it?
It was alright. I think it was good. I have my comments, but keep that off camera.
Okay.
No, nothing major.
Okay. That's it for this episode. Alright, thanks. Till next time.
Till next time, brother.